So now we're going to move into talking about simple interest. And so simple interest, when we talk about interest, we talk about like making money off of money or owing money off of money. So we can either gain interest or we can owe interest. So simple interest is money earned on a savings account or an investment. It can also be money that you pay towards something else. So as we are thinking about investment or interest, here's what we care about. We have this equation down here, I equals PRT. So I is our simple interest. It's our dollar amount that is our interest. So it's the dollar amount we're adding. Okay, our principal is our starting dollar amount. So it's what you start with. So if I put $100 into the bank, my principal is $100 because I am starting with $100 in there. Next is the annual interest rate. So our interest rate is going to show up as a percent, but we want to write it as a decimal. Okay, so when we're dealing with our calculations, we need to make sure that all of our percents are in decimal form. And then the last one is time in years. Okay, so what we care about is how long has this money been gaining or how long has it been gaining interest. Okay, so if we look at this, you put $100 into a savings account. The account earns 6% simple interest per year. I want to find the interest earned and the balance at the end of 6 months. So when it has been 0 months, hasn't been any months at all, I'm not going to have any interest, right? So my balance is just going to be $100. Okay, if I'm earning 6% per year, let's calculate what that looks like. My interest is my principal times my rate times time, and if I want to just know the year, it would just be 1. Right, so really I need to take 100 times 0.06, put my calculator, 100 times 0.06 gives me 6. So my interest then over a year is $6. Okay, pretty straightforward. So if over an entire year I gain $6 in interest, if I want to know how much I have at 6 months, it's just going to be half of that, right? So the interest that I would gain after 6 months would be $3 of interest, which means that my total would be $103. Well, what am I going to make per month then in each of these months? So this is where we could set up our proportions, right? I have $6 is what I make in a year. And if I think about year in terms of months, a year is 12 months, right? So I have $6 for 12 months. I want to know how many dollars is that for 1 month. So what I'm going to do is I want to figure out what this is up here. So I could cross multiply, but I could also just realize, well, I'm dividing by 12 to get 1, right? So 6 divided by 12 is 1/2. So in terms of money, that means that it's 50 cents every year. So after 1 month, I'm just going to have 50 cents of interest, and then my balance is going to be $100.50. After 2 months, then I would have $1 of interest, so on and so forth. So go ahead and fill in the rest of this table. And then also create a bar graph to model your answers here. All right, so your chart should look something like this, right? And here, our simple interest, you can kind of notice, right? It's just gaining at a constant rate every time, right? Okay, so then let's look at some credit card debt. So this says that a typical household with credit card debt in the United States owes about $16,000 in credit card companies. The typical credit card interest rate is 14% to 16%. It's called the annual percentage rate. So what we want to do is we want to figure out, well, okay, let's say that someone doesn't pay off their credit cards. What is that going to look like? So we're going to use the equation interest equals principal times rate times time. So I want to figure out how much interest would I gain on a $16,000 principal at, let's go with a 15% rate. So 15 as a decimal is 0.15 times 1 year, right? How much interest would I make? So let's see, we'll do 16,000 times 0.15. Let's clear this out. Okay, clear. 16,000 times 0.15. I'm going to make $2,400 on just interest alone. So my interest then is going to be $2,400. What that means is that my new balance would be $18,400. Right? That's a lot of money. So in other words, make sure that you don't go into credit card debt, because that's not good. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Here we're going to look at the national debt, which is a pretty interesting thing to look at. So this says that in 2012, the United States owed about $16 trillion in debt. The interest rate on the national debt is about 1% per year. So we're going to look at 16 trillion in decimal form, but we're just going to write it out. So 16 trillion, so I have 16, here's 16,000, right? Here is 16 million, here is 16 billion, here is 16 trillion. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 zeros. We're dealing with 12 zeros here in terms of money, right? $16 trillion. So let's look at what that means. So how much interest does the United States pay each year on its national debt? So we're going to take it's the same thing, interest equals principal times rate times time, right? So our principal was 16 trillion. We were told that it's a 1% interest rate. And then we just want to know per year, so times another 1, right? So we're going to do 16 trillion times 0.01. This will be fun. Let's see. 16 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 16 trillion divided by 0.01 equals 1. Oh, not divided by. I was like, that's a bigger number. We want to multiply. Let's try this again. 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12. Times, there we go, 0.01. This is better. All right, that's what I thought. It should be $160 billion. So what that means is that we pay 160 billion. 1, 2, 3. Every year. $160 billion every single year. So how much interest then do they pay each day? So I'm going to take this number that I have right here, divide that by 365 days in a year. Let's see. We're just going to estimate about 440,000. So it's about $440,000. Is that right? No, $440 million. Every year, or every day. That's insane. So I'm actually we're gonna change this to, it's closer to 330 million people right now. We'll stick with this because it was from 2012. So if the United States has a population of 314 million people, how much does each person need to pay in order to pay off our interest? So our interest, remember, was $16 billion just in interest, right? No, it was 160 billion. $160 billion divided amongst 314 million people. So here we go. Let's try this. 160 billion, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, divided by 314 million is about $510 per person. But here's what's interesting about this, right? Is that that's per individual person. So that includes babies and people that aren't even making money, right? And so when we think about this in terms of the national debt, each taxpayer would actually pay quite a bit more than that. Okay, that's there. So we have some examples here. I'm just going to do a couple here for you. So we've got I equals PRT. Let's look at this first one. So I'm just plugging in what I know. I need to find the simple interest. So my interest is going to be my principal, $400, times my rate as a decimal, so 0.07, times my number of years, which is 3. So 400 times 0.07 times 3. $84. So my interest is $84. Part B then wants me to know, well, what's my new total? My new total then is $484. Okay, so you can do number 2 on your own. Let's do one of these together. Now I'm looking for the annual interest rate. So I'm going to plug in what I know. My interest was $310. I'm going to do this number 4. My principal I know was $1,000. My rate I don't know. My time was 5 years. So I'm going to combine what I can combine. So 310 equals 5 times 1,000, I just know is 5,000. And then I still have an R, that doesn't go away. So to figure out what my rate is, I'll divide both sides by 5,000. So I'll take 310 divided by 5,000. That is going to equal 0.62, or 0.062, excuse me. So I have R equals 0.062. Am I done? The answer to that is no, right? My rate is in form of a percent, so I need to take my decimal, move it over 2 spaces. So that means that my annual interest rate is 6.2%. Okay, then I think that you can probably do, okay, we'll do one of the time ones and then you'll do the rest on your own. So let's start with this one. So my interest rate is 60. So 60 equals my principal, 750, times my rate, which was 4%, so 0.04, times time. Don't know what it is. So first I'm going to take 750 times 0.04 to see what that is. 750 times 0.04 is 30. So I have 60 equals 30 times t. Divide both sides by 30. I get that t equals 2 years. Okay, so go ahead and finish the other ones on your own. That's simple interest, and we are done with that.